What is going on, everybody? Welcome once again to the Good, Brave, and Heroic podcast. We are here once again with your hosts, Eric Munoz. In English, that is Eric Munoz, and Joanna Munoz.
No.
No? I need to stop.
It's Munoz.
Huh?
It's Munoz.
Munoz. Anyway, we are glad to be here with another episode today, and we are mostly thankful for you being here. Today, we're going to jump into a conversation based on a story and kind of see where it takes us because I feel like there's a lot of relatable stuff in there. So, Joe, take it away and share what was going through your mind as we were prepping.
Before I do, when you introduced us, did you go heroic? Did you Superman?
I don't recall. I feel like I went heroic, like.
Oh, okay.
Like
I wasn't looking at you, but I kind of like saw through the side.
I did not do
he just Superman?
I did not do a Superman. I did not do a Superman. No, that never happened.
I don't know. We'll run it back. Somebody will tell us.
If I did it subconsciously because now you got me questioning myself.
What if you become a meme from that?
That's okay. It's all for the Lord.
Stop.
I'm a meme for the Lord.
Nope.
Okay. Yeah, we'll just stop now.
Unless it pays us, then, you know.
Should we just stop the episode here?
Nice. Okay, so I was talking to Eric about some stuff yesterday. I was having a I was having a conversation with our eldest daughter, Kaya.
Who makes her sound like she's in college. With our eldest daughter, Kaya, who just so happens to be 3 years old.
So how would I say that?
No, it was just funny.
Okay.
Oldest, it would have been more.
Okay.
But eldest is like, change that O to an E and all of a sudden you sound regal.
I'm not regal?
Not you specifically.
Kaya's not regal?
The person it's referring, yes. Anyway, the story, we are all regal in the kingdom of God.
So, yes, Kaya is 3 and...
We're playing, by the way, guys, just in case.
It's just a jokey joke. Maybe I'll become a meme from that.
Are you delirious right now?
Yeah, I haven't slept in weeks. And I have a cough.
You look good, though.
Thanks. I want coffee.
Flirts talks about coffee.
Sorry, I really want coffee. I was looking for it this morning and you took the thing.
I took the instant coffee.
Yeah.
To put in my protein shake.
But you took it.
People do not care about this. Let's jump into the story.
Okay, so now this is public. This pregnancy is different. I don't like certain coffees. Please don't judge me harshly. I'm pregnant. I do not like Café Bustelo right now.
You like it on the stove. You don't like my K-cups.
I don't like it on the stove either now.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that's new.
Yeah, it's not nice. So, but what I've been loving is the instant coffee. And for my coffee heads, I'll probably get disowned.
Yeah, because instant coffee is like guacala.
Yeah, it's not. It's delicious.
Well, it's not that bad, actually.
It's delicious.
In the protein shake, it's good.
It's great. So don't judge me. Anyway, so I was having a conversation with Kaya yesterday. It was a stern conversation because she had gotten into some trouble. And so we were having a very stern conversation where I was just talking through things with her, trying to get her to understand. We've been working on not just saying, hey, you can't do this. We're trying to get her to own these boundaries and these standards, trying to help her learn through consequences and things. And as I was doing that, she's also very good at identifying emotions and trying to identify it in people. So she's very concerned if someone isn't happy. And she'll ask us a lot, are you happy? Are you happy, Mom? Mom? Papi, are you happy? Excuse me. And in the conversation, that she was worried about that. And we've also been teaching her about slowing down, that it's okay to feel other feelings and you don't have to run to happiness all the time. And in that slowing down of getting to a different stage in her emotions, I realized that I was trying to get her not just to understand what had happened and how she should react to that, like with the appropriate ways of reacting to that. I wanted her to understand and feel. I wanted her to feel conviction, but it was tricky because I wanted to be very, very careful to not make her feel guilt and shame. I didn't want to see her in tears. I mean, if she ended up crying, that's okay, but that wasn't my goal. My goal wasn't to make her feel guilty and full of shame. I wanted to have her feel ownership.
That's a very good way of putting it.
And yeah, so it was a very, very tricky conversation. And I thought about that conversation and how we learned that throughout our whole lives. You know, what is conviction versus guilt? Like, what is that? What's the difference? When do you draw the line? When can you tell when it's one or the other? When it is guilt and you need to dispose of it or surrender it to God, submit it to God to reframe it. So yeah, that's what was going through my mind, and I just thought it'd be a good conversation because we still, as adults, often in larger scenarios or situations, we still go through fleeting, quick emotions and have to differentiate what's appropriate for me to feel here and how do I respond to it. Which makes me think of like my own process of apologizing. And we have very different ways of doing that. And Eric makes fun of me because I take a while to get to an apology, depending on the situation.
You also don't apologize a lot.
Here we go. Here we go.
It's
Here
true.
we go.
I wasn't even trying to take a shot. I'm just saying it's true.
It sounded like shots. Tell me no.
No, it didn't.
If it sounded like shots, Superman.
I would have never expected you to do that. That was an amazing moment. You have no idea how much joy just entered into my heart right now.
Entered into my heart?
Yes.
How much joy I felt. Why couldn't you just say how much joy I felt?
I speak in certain ways.
That was eldest, oldest.
Eldest, oldest.
Okay. Entered into my heart. Anyway, so what was he saying?
I don't know at this point. You Superman and everything erased from existence before that.
I don't know what I was saying anymore, but apologies. It does take me a while to get to that because apologies are so, I'm not saying they're very meaningful to him too, but we have different processes for apologizing. And I have to really like analyze the whole thing because I really, really, really want to know what I did wrong or how I can improve. Or how it takes me a while to process what I'm feeling to understand what just happened. And if it's like a complicated situation, for me to apologize because I want to mean it. And I want to not just mean it with my words and my heart in the moment, but I want to mean it long term and not make the same mistake again or try to avoid that. So it's a long process for me to get to that. Yeah, that was my whole thought.
You were connecting it to Kaya.
Yeah. Yeah, after Superman, I just lost all the threads out the window.
I kind of did too. I'm trying to stall right now. No, I'm just kidding. Well, no, I'm not, but seriously. That was probably confusing. They're like, wait, is it what? He said, seriously kidding, but I'm serious, I'm kidding, I'm not. Anyway, that was installing, by the way. That was
the explanation of the stalling or not
The
stalling.
way that this episode is starting is very interesting, but this is going to get better. So, it's interesting to me how you said that you wanted her to be able to process and understand, and take ownership, in being able to have conviction for the thing that you were having a conversation with her about. And also, while balancing that as a parent with your actions, your speech, maybe the way that you were having the conversation with her in front of who, like whatever, I don't know what was going through your mind, but all of those things intertwined into trying to protect her from guilt and shame. And how sometimes it doesn't matter what you do. A lot of that is up to the person.
Yeah.
Now, I think, for example, with me, I have a very heavy disposition towards shame, right? It's very easy for me to start to feel shame for something I perceive as a failure of mine. And that's due to just the way that my life rolled out. And so Kaya, hopefully, if we're able to teach her ownership and conviction without guilt and shame, maybe there's a higher chance that as she gets older, she won't have that predisposition towards it. Whereas I do. And really, what I've realized for me personally is that shame is one of the easiest ways for me to enter into the sin of pride.
Can you break that down?
Yeah, absolutely I can. So for me, shame is pride because I'm taking situations that have to do with a person that I've wronged, or situations where I actually didn't do anything wrong. And it's really about something I needed to learn or something God is trying to show me. And in both of those situations, the one where I wronged the person or when it's about something else that God is trying to do, I'm making it about me, which is pride. And I'm sitting there. Everybody thinks pride is just, oh, I'm
Arrogance.
the best person in the world. I'm arrogant, like, I don't know, like this cocky attitude. But pride really is just the elevation of self over all other things. And when I'm diving into shame and diving down this shame spiral and feeling all of these feelings of why did I do that? What I'm really trying to do is find healing. What I'm really trying to do is find comfort because the shame is comfortable to me because I'm so used to it. And I'm trying to guard myself from having to maybe have a tough conversation with that person or listen to what God is trying to say. Essentially hard work, whatever is hard, whatever is the process by which the other side comes or a positive outcome. And that's just me. I'm not saying every time you feel ashamed, you're being prideful. I'm saying when you dive into shame and shame becomes this thing that you put on like it's a blanket to try to protect you from the cold feeling of failure or a broken relationship or broken trust or whatever. So another way of talking about it would be to give a practical example. I remember in our old apartment one time when I first started to realize this, we had just had, it wasn't an argument, but just like I did something to hurt you. You told me about it. Or I asked you like, hey, are you okay? You told me what was wrong. And immediately I started to feel shame. And I started to walk away. right? Not like it was appropriate to walk away. It wasn't like we were having a conversation. I walked away from you, but I walked away thinking about myself and how ashamed I was for failing in some, it wasn't a small thing. I'm not trying to say it's small, but in something that had to do with our day to day, right? And suddenly I just caught it. I said, why am I thinking about me right now? I should be thinking about Joanna.
It's the little foxes that come to ruin. Sorry, this cough.
That's
That
okay.
just come to ruin things that just like creep in and that you don't catch because they're just so quick and they're sneaky. And
because you're used to them.
And so the way that I'm seeing that shame is it had the ability to rob a moment of healing, a moment of growth for yourself and for our marriage in that moment. Not that I don't even know what you're talking about. So I don't know how big or small it was, but
I remember it being something really like small. It wasn't a huge argument.
But that moment that the shame that you felt that sent you into this spiral of shame, which in my mind I think is synonymous to dwelling in this like ocean of things. And so it's like we guard our hearts in this shame pool or whatever, and we can't hear or see anyone else. We don't give the chance for God to come in and do whatever it is that he wants to do with us, to heal or to have that moment of growth or to have good communication. Maybe it was something as simple as it could have been a conversation where we had good communication and then that was it. But instead, it took you somewhere else completely different.
Right. Well, the key was that I stopped it.
Yeah.
So in that moment, once I felt that, I said, oh, snap, this is what I've been doing all my life. Mm-hmm. And I made a conscious decision to walk back to you and continue the conversation. We had a very healthy conversation. And I could tell you felt amazing afterwards. You felt great afterwards because you were heard. And you probably had already felt, see, this is the difference between good and great, because it's not like you shared with me what happened. We had a small conversation and it was like, it had gotten to the point where it was settled. Mm-hmm. So you probably left that with some type of resolution in your spirit, inside, in your heart, right? I remember I can't remember what it was for some reason, but I remember a lot of the emotions and sentiments. And I remember specifically, it was like a usual conversation. It's like, okay, I'll do better in this area, whatever. And we walk away and that's it, it's done. But I came back and that was the difference between good and great. Mm-hmm. Because we may have been good and we were good. And as the day would have went on, your mood would have probably improved or whatever. I would have pushed the shame down, which is not healthy. I would have pushed the shame down in a way and gotten past it, hopefully. And then we would have been back to normal. But what made it great was the fact that I picked that up and I came back and intentionally went against what my norm is. Mm-hmm. And so that's a great foundation for our children to build upon.
Yeah.
That's a great foundation for us to build upon. And it also makes me think about God and his relationship to us. I wonder how many times God is doing something for a specific purpose and we're missing it completely because we have a predisposition to something. For me, it's shame. For another person, it might be rage. Mm-hmm. For another person, it might be worry. For another person, it might be self-medicating. For another person, it might be sadness. And instead of being able to stop, right, and internalize what God is trying to do through your situation and hear him, and then take what he's saying, not just hear him, let it be in your spirit and let it dwell inside of you so that you can live off of that. You can live off of that promise. Instead, we just automatically, I jump to worry because in my childhood, I never knew if we were going to have another meal because we were poor. So the moment that my life starts to look like we don't have enough, I'm going to get worried. Meanwhile, God might be trying to get you to a place where you learn to depend on him, where you learn to come to him in prayer. Yeah. But you're so wrapped up in your worry, you don't even pray. And so what's going to happen? God's going to keep lovingly bring you into these situations at an appropriate measure according to the season in your life and where you are spiritually, because he's trying to draw you out of that. We pray for growth. We pray for all of these things. And then when we're put in the situation where we have to grow, when we're put into the refiner's fire,
that song is something else.
Yeah.
Because what you're singing, it's a beautiful song.
And sing it. Because I hate it when people say they don't want to sing that song. Sing it.
Yeah.
Sing it. Sing it because it's the true prayer of a true believer. Sing it because that's the true prayer. That's the true heart of a disciple. I get it if you're not there right now. I understand that. But I think that there's some people that say it because they're not there right now. And there's some people that say it because they think it's funny. And it's like this running joke, like, I'm not going to sing Refiner's Fire because, I've said that before. So like, you better be careful what you're asking God for. Yeah, you better be careful what you're asking God for, but you better be careful with what you're not asking God for too. Because if you live the rest of your life avoiding the prayer that is going to actually cause you to grow and step into your purpose, then you never step into it.
Yeah, it's scary. If you think it's scary to sing a song that has some bold lyrics to it, it's even scarier to come before the Lord when it's time and you got to give accounts and you're like, what accounts?
You saved, but you didn't do nothing with those gifts.
Like, what did you do with this and that? What do you mean? What do you mean? I sang in the shower. That's not what I didn't call you to sing to the drops. What? Like, that's scary. That's so scary. And you have to check your heart. You have to check your motives for what you do and what you don't do. And I'm not saying that you're not allowed to feel things or that you should always feel bold and you should always feel courageous. Yeah. Even me, I've actually been listening to Refiner's Fire a lot lately. And
you know what you're asking for?
There have been times where I'm like, and I've heard that song so many times, but I hear the lyrics and I'm like, wow, God. And sometimes I'm not, even though, again, I've heard the song so many times, I've sang the song so many times, I'm like, wow, God, I need you to take me to that place where I can say these words with conviction. I can say these words and mean it. I'm scared to say them, God, but I'm going to say them anyway.
That's a good prayer.
But I'm scared.
Yeah.
And I know that putting me through the fire, putting me through the discomfort, putting me through that heat is going to hurt. But I also know that I don't know what's on the other side. I just know that it's good enough. I just know that it's great. Yeah. I just know that it's better than where I'm at right now in my comfort. I just know that there's another level, that God believes in me that much that he's calling me to more. And so with the fear, with the doubts, with the I don't know if I can do this, you got to say that stuff. So like I was thinking of when you said you came back in the conversation, that moment that we were having where you walked away with shame and then you caught it, which made you then come back into the conversation. That makes me think of when you go into this like spiral of shame, you're alone. You're isolated with your thoughts. You're in like this dark place with a bunch of words that no one else knows, a whole narrative that starts to create in your mind. And sometimes you even give words to the person that you were arguing with that they never said. And you create this narrative, and then you create all these emotions. But when you stopped it and didn't let it get far, you confessed it. You brought it to light.
Yeah, saying it out loud is the beginning of true healing.
Right. And so in my, God, I'm scared of singing this song right now because of what it's asking for. I'm going to sing it anyway, but I'm also going to tell you this is also how I feel. Because he can do something with that. And he can take that. That is the definition of laying your burdens down. That is the definition of letting him carry you. That's the definition of hiding under his wing. When our girls are scared or our girls they don't feel safe, they don't start to feel ashamed and walk away from us. They run to us. Yeah. Because they know that we're going to protect them, and they stay right here and they cuddle up because they know that we're going to protect them. They don't walk away somewhere, or go to their room and just sit there. And so God can take that. So that's what I was thinking of. Wow. Sorry.
Sorry, I just got a crazy visual. Because as you said that, my mind said, why do we grow older and stop going to other people for safety? And why is it so hard for adults because essentially the reason why Kaya and Lily run to us when they're scared is because we are a safe place. We represent safety for them. Yeah. We can protect them. No matter what's happening, we will protect them and they will be okay. And you were talking and my brain was just like, man, why is it so hard for adults to do that? And it's because throughout our whole life, as you grow up and you get older, you're a child, you go to high school and you start to encounter people outside of your family. You start to make friends. You start to have romantic relationships and going into your adulthood. You go from the safety, hopefully, if you had the safety of relationships at home, but you start to let people in and form more and more broken relationships. And every time you trust in another person to be a safe place for you, for whatever reason, whether you're scared, you're hurt, you're broken, and you come to them to try to talk about it, and they don't respond in a way that feels safe to you, what do? We retreat inside. And if I seek safety in you and your response causes me to retreat inside, now the safe place becomes in me. I can't trust you. The only place I can trust, ultimately, is in here.
That sounds like idolatry to me when it comes to between you and God.
It does sound like idolatry. You know what I'm saying? But it's where we go because we keep getting hurt. And I just want to empathize with all the people, right, who have been hurt by a lot of people. I've been hurt by a lot of people. And I've been hurt by people that loved me, right? Just because a person loves you don't mean that, just because a person hurts you doesn't mean that they never loved you, right? So I want to empathize with that because I get it, because I am an isolator and I'm learning now to bring people in again. I don't have so much of a problem with bringing God in. Maybe I do. I don't know. He's about to show me something. In my personal time, he's going to be like, oh, you don't? You don't? All right, let me show you. What about this? I'm like, oh, all right, let me go back and amend the podcast. So before that happens, I'm just gonna amend it here. As far as I'm just gonna stop. Yeah, because I'm setting myself up. Anyway, I feel like I'm a little bit better with God. I feel like He'll give me that one. So, when we keep running back into ourselves and retreating into ourselves, whatever you do over and over again becomes your natural state. Mm-hmm. It becomes what you're used to. Mm-hmm. And so now there comes a day, maybe you're 20 years old, maybe you're 15 years old, maybe you're 25, 32, not that late. There comes a day where the last person does it and it's the last straw for you. Mm-hmm. And now the next time you're hurt, you don't go to anybody, you just retreat. And so then you get saved. And now you have a relationship with the God of the universe who loves you with an eternal, unconditional love and tells you to cast your burdens on me. And He means it. Mm-hmm. And He is the ultimate safe place. But I'm not used to going to people no more because everybody burned me. Mm-hmm. And I stopped going to people a long time ago because everybody burned me. Mm-hmm. And now you want me to come to you, God? Bet I believe it here, but I don't believe it here. Mm-hmm. I believe it here, but I don't believe it in action. And so I think that's what happens to a lot of us. We go from the innocence of childhood, of running to the people who we are born believing are safe. Mm-hmm. Literally born believing they are safe. And hopefully, for those who didn't have to suffer very traumatic childhoods, you make it to the point where you start to meet other people. Or maybe you did have a traumatic childhood and that safety was broken even earlier. Mm-hmm. And so what do you do with that? How do you get past that? I'm actually asking literally because I want to hear your. No, I realized that sounded
rhetorical.
Yeah, but it was both. I was on my soapbox, but also at the same time, I think you would have excellent answers for that, both as a worshiper, a mom, a mature Christian, and also as a professional mental health person. Social worker. I was like, why am I not remembering the word as a social worker?
Hi, I am person.
Professional mental health person. I'm going to start at the beginning of episodes and say, Joanna Munoz, professional mental health.
Please don't. Please don't.
I'm going to be tempted.
Wow. So he preached. That was a lot I was all in it. Okay, so how do you heal from retreating to yourself? Whether you had a traumatic upbringing or not?
Yeah, just in general.
Man, that's... So I think God is so good because He knows your limits, so He knows how far to push you or how heavy He's going to allow, the burden to be. I am always going to encourage therapy if that's a resource that's available to you always, whether you're, fine or not, whether you have traumas or not, I'm always going to encourage therapy.
Actually, just to add to this before you continue, Mike Todd this morning, I was listening to a sermon. He said, everybody on my staff goes to therapy.
That's good.
We advocate for therapy here. And he said, the altar is the catalyst for healing. But therapy is where you go because you need to talk that thing out.
That's good.
And that was such a good representation to me because a lot of people put those things in opposition to each other. The church and community, all those things.
Yeah.
And therapy, it's not one or the other. It's both and.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. That reminds me of, I'd have clients who would tell me, I don't like to have my emotions involved because then I can't think straight. I have to just use my intellect, because if I let my emotions in, then I'm going to be a mess. And I was one of those. And I was like, well, what if you saw your emotions as a tool added to the tool of your intellect?
Oh, that's so good.
What if you started seeing your emotions as a tool, that can add to the resource that you already see as a valuable resource, which is your logic?
Okay, break that down.
What if you can't fully make an informed decision with just one and not the other? And I've said this in other episodes, but I'm going to say it again. Your emotions are messages that your body is giving you, that God designed in you to convey a message. Now, don't get me wrong. I am not saying that you need to listen to every emotion and let it govern you, because the Bible talks about that. The Bible talks about all the feelings, love, fear, worry, anxiety. The Bible is full of that and how to navigate that. And so if you don't have all the information, then you can't make a good decision on something. You don't buy a house with just knowing, okay, well, I have the pictures, it looks good, that's enough for me. The number's good, the pictures are good, that's enough for me. No, people go in, you walk it through, you have inspectors come and look at it, because you need to be well informed. Well, in the same way, you need to use all of the things that God designed in you to make an informed decision. And so I would tell my clients, like, okay, well, in the situation you just described, you're telling me that you felt that you you no longer wanted to feel sad. And so you started tuning this person out because that was the safest thing you could do in that moment for yourself. You chose to cut out the sadness, but you heard the message of, this is not safe. I'm feeling fear. And then you acted on that. Had you not listened to either one, you would have been in a worse situation. But you needed both your logic to analyze the situation, and you needed your emotions to tell you what was going on. Your emotions aren't just crazy things that they fire here and there and they're quick, but they are appropriate in telling you to pay attention to certain things. Now, I will say that you don't have to pay attention to every single emotion and then analyze the heck out of it and go down this rabbit hole. What I'm saying is filter it through God, submit it to God, and see, okay, God, it's information. It's not the thing that governs your life. So I was doing therapy for a while, and there came a time where our finances just wasn't allowing for it. And God came through, and he brought me into this season where he had me on this fast track of healing and therapy. It felt like therapy sessions. My time with God felt like therapy sessions. And so I did a lot of the work in therapy, but I also did a lot of the work with God. I submitted myself to it. I submitted myself to learning and to allowing God to shift my perspectives, to give me new mindsets, to confront my current mindsets, to confront my current belief systems. And I think that when you are in a position of full surrender to God, whether you've had traumatic experiences or not, I think that's the key, is having intentional moments of surrender, of being in an intentional position of surrender at all times to God. However mature of a Christian you are or not, I think that really, I think that just goes a long way, and that looks different for everyone because God is going to deal with everyone in a different way.
Yeah.
For me, he was like, all right, I want you to paint. And I'm like, what? What do you mean you want me to paint? For you, he was like, I want you to go take pictures outside of, in your city. Very different for everyone. And he's the one that designed us, so he knows, again, what and why. I had no idea why he was telling me to paint. But then as I started painting, I still don't know why, but as I started to paint, there were so many things that God started doing in those moments that I was just floored by. You know how much God talks to me when I'm painting? It's insane. I just see pictures in my head and I'm like, oh, wow, it's insane. So yeah, I don't even know if I answered the question anymore, but I just think that being in a position of surrender, like there are so many practical things that I can say about, what you can do, what not to do, like journal, vent it out on your phone or whatever. But I think the main point is to be in a position of surrender, intentional surrender to God, because you just don't know what new tools he's going to present to you. He might invite you into a community of believers. He might tell you to go in isolation with him for a bit.
So true.
He might tell you to dive into art, like he's done with one of our friends. He might tell you to start going on to, he might tell you anything. And the beauty of it is that I used to say this a lot. I would say, I don't know what God's doing, but I guess it's not my business. But that was my way of saying, like, I don't want to worry about it. If it's in God's hands, I'm just going to leave it in God's hands until he tells me, okay, it's time for you to know, or whatever.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to spiral. I don't want to be in my head. I just want him to do his thing. He's going to figure it out at the end
anyways.
Yeah.
And then we spend all that time worrying.
I don't want to spend all that energy. Yeah. Like, I just want to, okay, you got it. You got it. So I think that if there's any beginning to your healing or to your getting out of shame, it's that. Position yourself in surrender to God.
That is such a foundational thing that we need to get right. We need to be able to get to the point where we actually have God at the center, because it goes back to the safety, right? He is safe and he loves you. So it's not like he's just a safe place you could come to him and when he's like, oh, hey, what's up? Yeah, we could talk about it. And he's safe. No, he's safe and he is all knowing and he loves you. That's like a trifecta that you can't beat that. He's a safe God, he's an all-knowing God, and he loves you completely. All three of those things together mean it's like, you have no choice but to surrender, and still, yet we choose not to. But it goes back to the reason we choose not to is because we don't feel safe.
Yeah. When
you were having that conversation with Kaya, and for the portion that I was there, I'm listening to her. She's having a conversation with you. Mm-hmm. Sometimes she got off track. Sometimes she started talking about other things, even though she knows you're safe. She still needed to check in multiple times and say, "Are you happy, Mom?" Mm-hmm. Do you know how much we would damage her if one day when she asked us that? Because her heart is open when she asks that. She's looking for reassurance because she feels that we're upset. So she'll ask, are you happy, Mom? Are you happy, Dad? And if there was one day where we said, Kaya, leave me alone. And then we did it more and more. And then she's a teenager and we're like, why doesn't my daughter talk to me? Mm-hmm. But even though she knows that we're safe, she still needs that reassurance. Mm-hmm. Because the fact that someone you feel is safe is unhappy with you is it's a very clashing feeling. So she's trying to sort through those emotions and understand that. It's the same with God. We do the same thing with God. Mm-hmm. We're like, my life right now doesn't look blessed. And yet, your word says that you love me with an eternal love. Are you happy, God? That's not what we say. Mm-hmm. But each of us has our own language. That would be how Kaya would ask it. Mm-hmm. For me, it's different. For you, totally different. But we come to God with questions in our heart questions that we don't even have any business asking because they don't align with Scripture. Mm-hmm. Stuff like, do you still love me? Do you hear me? Do you have a plan for me? Did you leave me? Am I even saved? And if we could just get to the point where we understand that God is safe so we can surrender, that's where that true healing can begin to occur, that change can begin to occur, and we can finally reach those things that he wants us to reach. Yeah. Instead of going around in circles over and over and over again, dealing with the same issues.
Yeah. I think what comes to my mind when I talk about surrendering, I want to express that there's just no ritual. There's no 5 steps to this. Ain't no sage involved. Ain't no crystals involved.
Nope.
Ain't these 3 and these 2. Sorry, but it's just not like that. You don't have to set some kind of atmosphere or cleanse the atmosphere to invite God in. You don't. You know how many times I've had time with God in the bathroom? I've sat in the bathroom. I've sat on the floor of the bathroom because there was just nowhere else to go and have had some deep moments with God. That was my atmosphere. It doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to sound like you quoting scripture and, I don't know, talking to God like he's like King Arthur. It's not like that. When I picture surrender, I picture someone who's not prepared. I picture someone with their arms down, shoulders dropped, tired. I just don't know what else. I don't have answers. I don't know what else. I don't even have words. This is all I have. And when you can be in that position, in that very vulnerable position, I think you're in a great place. Because you've got nothing left but I want to hear. You can hear. There's no cloud. There's nothing clouding. There's no preparation. There's just nothing. And when you were bringing it back to Kaya, when throughout the conversation, she was asking me, are you happy? I want to be honest with her. And I also want her to understand that the goal is not happiness all the time. We have to feel these things. You have to feel the conviction. You have to feel the remorse for your actions and that there's consequences. So I have to redirect her and I'll say, baby, I love you. I love you. I'm upset, but I love you. And we still have to talk through this.
That's good.
And because I don't want to create a world where she, out of anxiety, or Lily, out of anxiety, just, tries to fix it fast by giving kisses and hugs right now. But later, what will it be?
Yeah.
I cleaned the house. Are we good now? Are you happy now? I made you a meal. Are we good now? Are we happy now?
All the Spanish kids and all the former Spanish kids in the chat right now are like,
yes!
I cleaned the house. That's like the ultimate.
And now I'm not saying that there's no value in learning, working for things or whatever, but I'm talking about extremes. Mm-hmm. I don't want her to equate that with my love for her or my happiness with my love for her. Mm-hmm. Because sometimes my pregnancy symptoms make me not happy, and it has nothing to do with her. And so I was trying to teach her in that moment, I love you, whether I am upset, whether I need a moment, whether I'm happy or not, whether I'm sad, I still love you. But we need to talk through these things because I need to teach you. What I don't want, what my initial reaction to what she had done was anger. I was just like, what? But I don't want to instill fear in my daughter so that she would respect me or others. I want to instill in her understanding and ownership of what respect means so that she knows how to demand respect for herself as well.
Yeah.
When she needs to.
Right.
I want her to understand that concept. Granted, when she's older, she'll understand what that is. And the way that we deal with her will be different. The way that we talk to her will be different. There are times where it is enough to just, and she's like, mm-hmm. And that's enough, and that's needed. That kind of fear is different, But I don't want to yell at my kid, diminish her, make her feel guilty for what she did, leave afraid, guilty and ashamed, and still not know why she wasn't supposed to behave that way. She just knows she can't do that or else. But she never fully got an understanding of the concept of why.
Right.
What was wrong with that? And if I want to raise daughters that hold strong convictions and that are strong, then right now is a time where we build those convictions in them.
Yeah.
And those concepts and that sense of ownership and build those kinds of values in them. And so, it would be very easy for me to have yelled at her and disciplined her. And not that she doesn't get disciplined and just has conversations, but it was important to have that conversation with her.
Yeah.
Because those are the moments that are essential in a child's life to build them up for the rest of the world, for life.
You see, in situations like those, a good parent seeks to help you understand what went wrong, whether it was something like in Kaya's situation that she did wrong, or just that there's something we need to fix here, mm-hmm. right? Without sacrificing love in the process. This is wrong, and I love you. Mm-hmm. And if there's anything that people who are listening today, I hope they can leave with, is the understanding that no matter what situation you might be going through, no matter what God has allowed in this season of your life, if you could understand that the fact that something wrong occurred, even if it was you that did something, he still loves you. And if we could stop sacrificing relationship with him, even if it's momentarily, because of that wrong, if we would stop breaking relationship with him, we would be all the more better. See, what we're doing is we're helping Kaya to understand you did something wrong and we love you. And a lot of parents, not that they're not good parents, a lot of parents never understand that because they weren't taught it. And what they do instead is they lean into one too heavily. I love you so much, and they never talk about what went wrong.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. I love you.
It's okay. It's okay. And then the other side is this was what was wrong, and they never.
I don't want to see your face.
Express the love. Where it's this is wrong, and I love you. And when we get to that place where we understand that can be true, only there does real change happen. Mm-hmm. Because change happens here, but it's fear-based. And change happens here in the love, but it never lasts.
There's no accountability. There's no consistency.
No. But when we can realize something's wrong and God loves us still, that's powerful.
That's faithfulness.
Something is wrong with me. Something is wrong about my situation. And you still love me? The fact that doesn't make sense to us as human beings, and yet it couldn't be more true, is a revolutionary concept to the heart. And so I hope that people could leave with that today.
Yeah.
So
that's all I got.
You want to end it?
Yeah, sure. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for walking with us through our conversation. And enjoy the snow day if you got snow. We had like everything canceled, but barely any snow.
Yeah, nothing happened. None of it stuck.
Oh man. Anyway, thank you for joining us and for being here. And we hope that this is something that was valuable to you. And if it is valuable to you, then share it. Like it, comment, engage, do the things.
Hit all the buttons.
Hit all the buttons. Just because that's helpful. And that's it. Thank you all. Bye.
Peace.